I actually had an offer letter from one place and an interview lined up 3 days later with another, right? And I actually reached out to the coach for advice on how to even balance or respond when I had, they were almost conflicting situations that I had to manage.
All right, here I am with Mandy Hill. Very excited that you joined me today and very excited to hear more about your success story. And if you want to just start off and talk to us a little bit further about what your job search was like before pharmacy career coach.
I had been in long-term care, hospital, and retail across my career, but hit burnout. And I actually left pharmacy and went into finance, got licensed in that arena, but really ultimately realized I didn't love it and connected with pharmacy career coach to help getting back into pharmacy, but especially to avoid retail as well.
Excellent. And can you take me back to the doubts that you had about joining the program? I know, yeah, initially when we talked, coming from finance, which is a pretty far step outside of what you're doing to getting back into pharmacy. What were some of the doubts or fears or just what was going through your head as you're looking to get back into pharmacy?
Yeah, I had a lot of doubts because I knew I wanted to completely slice off the retail option. And I really didn't want to end up in nights in a hospital, right? I wanted to take a lot of the project management experience I had and just move forward, really collectively use all that I had in my experience and education and tool set to move forward into something different and new in pharmacy. And it is really where I landed. I'm really quite happy about it, but I had a lot of doubts. I had doubts about whether or not I really even wanted to for sure get back in pharmacy because I had a really hard time with burnout. And then the self-doubt of, am I hireable? I'm 50 years old, right? I've been licensed a long time. Ageism is out there. Will they value that skill set? For me, I think it was very much around, am I still hireable in the medical industry in another arena, outside retail? And will ageism be a problem? And I will say I definitely doubted the opportunities. And when I say that, the opportunities to not be to be working a schedule that I wanted to work, right? To have the flexibility that I wanted to have, the work life balance, to move that a little bit more into alignment. I really didn't even think it really existed, but it does.
If you want to just jump in and talk to us further about the opportunity that you landed, what you're responsible for, just take us through, yeah, this opportunity that you were presented with.
Yeah. So I landed a bit unexpectedly, honestly, in a compounding pharmacy, which is pretty cool right now since USP's updated their guidelines and there's, of course, lots of regulation. And it's really quite fun to get back into the heart of pharmacy, right? Compounding. And I've always felt like that's where the art and science kind of meet together, right? In our profession. Pharmacy is actually being taken over by the company that hired me. So and this company is really taking off. So there's a ton of growth and leadership. I was hired as just a staff pharmacist, but I'm making more than I did managing in my previous position, right? So I don't have to do the schedules, all the management and leadership, just there to be support as a staff pharmacist. And there's a ton of growth personally for me in that because while I've been in long-term care and I've been in hospital and we did, of course, some compounding, it was way limited compared to what this pharmacy does. So I love learning and all the new information, learning about how drugs are they're very uniquely used sometimes. And that's great. This particular pharmacy has even done some clinical research trials. So it's just a fantastic place to be because I'm surrounded by people that I can upskill and learn from, which is for me a fantastic opportunity.
I know a couple times you mentioned looking to steer clear of retail. Can you tell me a little bit about, yeah, what you're looking to stay away from, a little bit more about the burnout that you're faced in, and just give a little more insight as to, yeah, wanting to get back into pharmacy, not exactly sure what, but looking to sidestep retail. So tell me a little bit more
Oh,
what that was like.
yeah, most of my career, I had been a manager of some or in leadership of some kind. Almost all my career is managing. And then through COVID, I became very busy running test sites and managing pharmacies. And then I was promoted to a clinical services manager role, and I was covering multiple states, which was very busy. And I was just stretched thin, physically, really stretched thin. And that burnout was exhausting. I mean, I was really exhausted physically and mentally. And I was really, I want to say, to be very honest, I was angry at the profession, right? Because I love being a pharmacist, but it felt like I had almost been betrayed by my own profession. But I knew for my own health, I needed to get out.
Can you talk to me a little bit further how the program really helped you out as you dove into the job search?
Yeah, I would say there were three key areas. The first would, of course, the coach. My coach was great. And as I mentioned before, really flexible and understanding, right? I had already been in a coaching program prior to this, but it was not specific. You were always in a group, and it just, and obviously it didn't work. I didn't get anywhere with it. So I love the tailored approach, both tailored to pharmacy and the resources, very much tailored to pharmacy. And the networking was incredibly, I had really underestimated how impactful and how valuable that was going to be. But once that started happening, it was almost hard for me to keep up with it, but it was actually really valuable. There's just so many great pharmacists out there that were ready to take and willing to take a half hour, 15 minutes, an hour, and have a phone call and kind of encourage advice, guidance, connections, resources. And in a few cases, really opened up my eyes to consider even other areas that I hadn't considered. So the networking, I would say, the coaching, and then the resources. Well, I want to back up though. The networking happening while I was at work, right? Because I do not have the time or capacity to do everything that career coach was doing in the background for me. There's just no way that going to happen. I would have to spend like every waking hour outside of work trying to do it, building the resumes and the cover letters and the specific resumes and the specific cover letters and the coaching calls and the networking was incredibly valuable and in a very personalized manner, right? And then I think thirdly is just the resources. So when I wasn't having a coaching call, but I had a little bit of downtime, I was able to go into the resources and watch a video, do a module, pull off some really quick things from templates that were there and available. Very helpful. I actually had an offer letter from one place and an interview lined up 3 days later with another, right? And I actually reached out to the coach for advice on how to even balance or respond when they were almost conflicting situations that I had to manage. I didn't want to commit to one thing. If door number one was there, maybe door number three was going to be better. Timing wise, she was fantastic about helping support through that.
I guess just any other perks or any other areas where you're like, I can't believe either like the stress level or the work-life balance, or I know you said your schedule is pretty perfect at this point and vacation, and have you been able to take advantage of a lot of the perks that come with this? And tell me a little bit more what else has been enhancing towards your lifestyle.
So perk wise, yeah, it's unlimited PTO. First day, they handed me $100 gift card to go buy scrubs. And they do Friday food trucks and really try and keep a very upbeat atmosphere. Free meds, free compounded meds for me or family if we need them. And of course, then the traditional benefits like 401k and that kind of thing. But the unlimited PTO was something that when I had the job offer, I actually stopped and questioned
Okay.
because of my previous experience. And they actually had the director of operations give me a call. They know we want you. It was a competitive interview and we want you. We chose you. And when we say unlimited PTO, we mean it and we stand by it. Have experience that shows that you're probably not going to just go take 3 months of PTO, right? You're gonna be a team player and take what you need and be there to support other people taking theirs. And I just had a really strong appreciation for that approach. I'm really grateful for it to know that I can take it when I need it, but we don't have to ask for it a year in advance or worry about it getting denied. And in fact, our daughter has to have surgery in August. And I said to them, I need to be there. This is really important to me. And they said, absolutely. Yeah, you do need to be there, whatever you need. So it was just a really refreshing take from my previous experience in pharmacy.
What would you say to someone that says the program just costs too much or the investment is too high?
Mm. Yeah, I would say I completely disagree. When you think about all the time and the effort and the work that was put forth between developing special resumes and cover letters, the resources, the materials, the coaching time, I think it's I think it's a really fair value. And I personally have a comparison because like I said, I was in a coaching course before that. That course was lent more towards women in general, women in the workforce, but it cost twice as much. It was less individualized, and I didn't get anything out of it regarding a job or improvement. I have resources from it, but I would argue they weren't what I needed. I think the value is fair. And when I consider the salary, that I doubled my salary, right, from where I was. So it was well worth it.
What was the raise that you got from going from finance to pharmacy?
Yeah, I ended up making more than I even did when I had been managing. I ended up with weekends off, and my schedule is as close to 9 to 5 as you could get. It's either 7 to 3, 9 to 5, or 10 to 6, right? It's like the greatest hours ever. Unlimited paid time off. Unlimited paid time off. It was fantastic. Previously, I couldn't get time off. That was part of my problem with burnout, right? I had PTO built up. I had tons of PTO, but I wasn't allowed or permitted to take it because they didn't have enough staffing coverage. And that is not the case where I landed. So I'm really pleased that they ended up with a higher salary and a way better balance.
What was the amount of raise that you got?
Let me think. Let's see. It was like 120% increase, really.
Like, here's a question that I'm very excited to ask you just because we touched on it a little bit before we started recording. But what would you tell someone that says that they simply don't have the time for this? And if you want to take us through how your time became a very limited resource. So yeah, if you can tell us a little bit about that would be great. And I think it'll help clear it up for anyone else. Just like they don't have time.
Yeah. We're parents of 4 kids, aged 15 to 21, but we are also parents to an Afghan refugee, and he's 19. And in December, his parents arrived. So in December, that was about 2 months after I started with Pharmacy Career Coach. His parents arrived from Afghanistan with his 4 brothers. But then in April, they turned around and left, and they left the 4 brothers here. And The day after they left, the kids were calling us mom and dad, right? So we were suddenly inundated with a lot of work with social services and trying to make sure they're living in a house separate from us. So we're quite busy running them to doctors and dentists and making sure they have food and kind of looking after them in very much an unexpected circumstance that occurred for us. So we were managing all that while I was doing pharmacy career coach. And there is no way I could have found this job and jumped into a new switched career paths again. And there's no way I could have done what I did, balancing everything going on in our family with the change of career had pharmacy career, which has not been there. I feel really lucky. And again, it worked especially because my coach didn't push. It was very much built around what I needed to do and what worked best for me. The previous coaching program I had been in was not that way. It was very much just time scheduled and stamped, and you're just going to go through this and you're going to be done in 12 weeks and that's it. And I was greatly relieved to know that it was really built around me and personalized to me, which is very helpful under the circumstances we were in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 9 kids. I don't think anyone else out there can say they don't have the time after like that. Yeah, and I think that was about all the questions I had. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on or anything else that you wanted to expand upon or talk about?
Not specifically, but if anyone needed to reach out, I'd be happy to engage and support in whatever way I could. I will say through the networking pharmacy career coach, through the burnout, I had kind of gotten to a point where I was just exhausted, and I really feel like I definitely had lost the joy in my job, and I was really honestly just questioning humanity, people just being kind or supportive, but that was absolutely restored through this program. I mean, I was really fascinated by the number of people in LinkedIn that were willing to connect and speak and support. There's really a lot of great pharmacists out there.
Literally why we do what we do, and it's so fun to catch up with you.